drinking out of a Betrayal mug for the moment, for the occasion. Mark the moment. T Hids. T Hids. Tommy, how are you?
Lovely to see you.
Oh, what a treat to see you. It's been too long.
It's been a long time. It's been a year and a half.
Yeah, crazy. You've been busy.
I want to check. Can you hear me okay?
You're a little quiet. But
if I put headphones in, I think I've got such an old phone. If I put headphones
we can
in,
hear you though.
Offended because then I think
I'm pretty sure we can hear you. That's better. That's better. But let's see if Arthur, our friend Arthur, our hero behind the scenes of tonight, is. Let's talk again, Tommy.
Yes. 1 2 1 2.
Perfect.
So is it weird if I keep a headphone in? So I feel like I'm being. I saw you earlier.
No, you look cool.
A theatre director and Instagram Live is an interesting.
I know.
An interesting equation.
It is, but maybe I'll get better. Maybe I'll get better at doing it.
Okay.
It sounds good. I was thinking
One or two. Is that for sound? I mean, does that sound?
I think it's the same. So whatever's most comfortable.
I mean, at this point.
I love it. Tom, this has been such a huge journey, isn't it? I mean, it's like.
By the way, it's amazing to see everybody involved, to see Sutra and Eddie and Charlie and Zoe, and hear all their recollections and remembrances. It was such an extraordinary time that I think of often in this past year of lockdown and the fragmentation of our social bonds and not seeing anybody and isolation. And the whole point of theatre is about connection and telling stories that connect us in a building, and we're all sitting in the same building. It's sort of, so I've thought about this whole experience a lot in the last year.
Yeah, no, I bet me too. Of course, it started as a gala performance. I remember,
yes.
As I was saying earlier, we did the Pinter at the Pinter season, celebrating or marking the moment of commemorating 10 years since Harold's death, by doing all of his short plays and then doing a charity gala in which you had to raise thousands for Amnesty on that night, which I'm very grateful for. But we ended up doing, of course, a scene from Betrayal, and that's how it started.
That's how it started. Amazing to think that was the spark of the first idea. I was so honored that you asked me to do it. It was an amazing evening that evening. I remember it very well. What was it, October the 18th?
It was on his birthday, yeah. That's right, his
birthday.
His birthday,
or October the 21st? From memory. 18th, yeah, the 18th.
Yeah, I think that's right, yeah.
And you were in the middle of this extraordinary season of Pinter at the Pinter Theatre in London. And it was a huge celebration for... Oh, hang on. Sorry, my phone's wanting... 1 second, sorry.
Sorry, you're getting text messages. Your mate saying,
"No,
are you on Instagram Live?"
Sorry. Yes, this amazing thing you did, which was to celebrate his work in the presence of Antonia Fraser, his widow, and it was all these actors who have had some connection or relationship to Harold Pinter over different generations. I remember some former members of Betrayal casts throughout the years. Jeremy Irons was there, who obviously played Jerry in the film, and Sam West, who played Robert at the Donmar Warehouse. Simon Russell Beale had done the Hot House, and who else was Indira Varma? Was she there?
Indira and Papa Edu, yes,
and
really amazing.
She had done some Betrayal, I think. Emma. In days gone by. Anyway, it was an extraordinary evening of celebration of his work, and Lee Evans was there, and it's very funny. And you asked me to do this scene from Betrayal, scene 5, between Robert and Emma, where Robert discovers, or has discovered, in a hotel room in Venice, that Emma's been having this affair with Jerry. But it's the most extraordinary confrontation. It takes about 10 pages, which isn't a confrontation at all. It's an invitation to admission. But I do remember it was this Harold Pinter's got such a comedic gift. Some of his plays they're very deep and very profound, and about love and loss and power, and in an evening full of a lot of laughter, this had this extraordinary quality of silence in the room. And we rehearsed it for 10 minutes, I think.
Less than that, maybe. Yeah,
that. And it was really interesting, just because we read it. Obviously, we read it in front of microphones, and afterwards, I remember Antonia Fraser saying to both of us, "Perhaps you'd like to do the whole thing." And it suddenly was a very exciting idea, because it's such a beautiful play. I'd read it when I was at drama school. I'm fascinated by its kind of brilliance and its structure. I've always been. I became age appropriate faster than I thought I would, but that's the nature of age. It feels like I read it and thought, oh no, that's a long time away before I'm the right age for that. But yes, and then I remember you being at the table with Antonia, and Antonia saying, perhaps you'd like to do the whole thing, and you leaning across and going, well, maybe we should do the whole thing. and I went away and read the whole thing, and then I think quite quickly we were on, weren't we?
Well, I remember speaking to you literally the next day. I think I sent you the play the next day, and then the day after that, I think we sort of pretty much said, let's go ahead and do it.
Yes.
Amazingly, we were all available, and that the Pinter was free, so that we could do it as a continuation of the season. And that's kind of this sort of magic. It was so effortless. Things aren't always like that, are they?
It never happens like
life.
that. It never happens.
Often there are obstacles. Whereas, and also I remember us talking about who should play Jerry, and that we had both thought of Charlie, and that he wasn't originally available. Do you remember? And then
yes.
And then he then became available. It was almost like kind of, wow, this kind of karma of this is just kind of amazing.
It was extraordinary. Yeah, it never happens that way, where all the people you want to be involved, and it happens without, almost as if the road was already paved in some way. Extraordinary magic and a very auspicious beginning. And I can't believe it turned into almost a year and a half, or in terms of our preparation, but a full year of performance of this one singular play.
And I think it was like over 270.
272, I think it was. I may have misremembered that, but it was 12 weeks in London, 17 weeks in Broadway, and to do the same thing 272 times is an extraordinary act of repetition and investigation, in that every time you do it, you find something else. Like playing a great piece of music, you think, oh, this movement is, by the way, I can't play great pieces of music, so I don't know why I've used this analogy, but
just keep going.
But it's taking little moments or little motifs or riffs, I suppose, that recur through the course of the piece. And I imagine in that repetitive recitation, you find more depth every time. And that's certainly my experience with this play, was that I would start to almost feel the structure. I would sort of feel the structure of the play like a physical entity. You feel like you're inside, you're under the hood, as it were, of the car. You're inside the engine. You just know exactly how the engine works. And the more time you spend with it, the more connections you can make. And that's the end of my mixed music and automobile metaphor.
Is it you? I don't think you had done Pinter before. I don't think you'd
been. No, I'd never done Pinter professionally. No, I'd done a bit at school.
Right. When were you surprised? Were there any particular demands? That being in a Pinter play. What are the demands of being in a Pinter play? What does he require you to do? What was what was interesting about doing his work?
Everything. I mean, he has an extraordinary ability to excavate under the surface of things, under the surface of words, actions, and behavior. And he, I think, is a very much a playwright, probably of the English psyche. I hope he wouldn't object to that. In fact, that's unfair. I think it's a human thing. It's beyond the national identity. But what I was thinking of when I said that is some playwrights, older playwrights, Elizabethan playwrights, where the meaning lies within the words. If you're doing a Shakespeare play, the characters tell you what they're feeling often, in the most beautiful poetry. And they say what they mean. Whereas Harold Pinter's characters, the meaning lies beneath what they say. Characters often don't say what they mean. They say something that's in conflict or contradiction of what they mean. And the great joy of playing Pinter is that you're doing both at the same time. So you're investigating the subtext, or as you and I used to call it, the subwoofer.
I love the subwoofer. It makes so much sense. The
subwoofer, yeah. But
yeah.
There's a bass line that underneath, to carry on my musical analogy, there's a bass line underneath everything, which you need as an actor to tune into, a kind of frequency of things that are under the surface, which are primal and deeply human. And they are about love and loss and grief and betrayal and power and desire, all these incredibly human things that we experience, and a part of the experience of being alive. And over the top of that subwoofer, that bass line, are these melodies and grace notes, which often are, in contradiction of what the bass line is, which makes it a very fascinating acting challenge, because you have to summon what's underneath. You have to summon the subtext, and it could be extraordinary pain, extraordinary loss or suffering. But you also have to play what's on top of it, which can often be very light, very dexterous, very civilized, very well-mannered, charming, or comedic. So at any moment in the Pinter play, a character could be charming and menacing, or seductive and in retreat. And those are thrilling tensions to play within Pinter, and no less in Betrayal, in these complex dynamics between these very complex people, Robert, Emma, and Jerry.
Yeah, amazing. I think one of the we're so used to kind of thinking about Harold's plays as being about, the battle for supremacy, this kind of like, these kind of power battles, this kind of and this kind of menace. But actually, it's interesting that I think what was really remarkable about your performance was this kind of real connection to the loss and the pain underneath it, and your ability to really go, to those, plummet to those depths, was just kind of remarkable. And I seem to remember you saying that the clues in the text, which
I think
why.
Yeah,
why
there are so many. There are clues in the play. Always listen to the playwright. He'll tell you what you need to know. The play is called Betrayal, and that's the first clue. Is an actor diving into that, you have to go, okay, what does that mean? Betrayal is painful as an experience, and there are all sorts of ways betrayal can emerge in your life. You can betray yourself. You can betray another. You can betray a lover or a friend. You can betray your ideals. You can betray someone's trust. And so there was already I think I love that excitement of having to dig around in this very profound human feeling. And particularly Robert, what I always found in that first reading at the gala was that here was this incredibly controlled, on the surface at least, a very controlled, charming, collected man who was intelligent and professional. He was successful in his life, a respected publisher, and underneath the carapace or the facade of that composure is someone whose soul is completely shattered. And so the challenge was to present that, the mask of control, but also investigate the vulnerability behind the mask. And one of the big clues I always found was this conversation between Robert and Jerry in the fourth scene about whether boy babies or girl babies cry more. And there's one way of reading it, which is that, because at this point the audience knows that Robert knows that Jerry's had an affair with his wife, and so there's a lovely dramatic irony and tension between what's happening on stage and what's happening in the audience, and the audience is aware, like, what's Robert going to say, because he knows. And Jerry has come over to Robert's house, so there's this truth that's hanging in the air which hasn't been spoken, which is an affair with the woman upstairs or wherever she is. We never specified it. And Robert gives Jerry a drink, and that's right, she's just putting Ned to bed. So Emma is putting their son to bed, or is it their son? There's a paternity question in scene 5. When he finds out the affair's been going on, he says, "How long?" And Emma says, 5 years. And Robert says, 5 years. Pause. Ned is 1 year old. So there's already a challenge to the actor. What does that mean? Robert has to do the math. Who's the father of our son? But in the previous scene, Emma's putting Ned to bed, and Robert decides to start discussion with Jerry about boy babies and girl babies. Isn't it true that boy babies cry more than girl babies? Wouldn't you say? And Jerry's a bit perplexed, certainly in Charlie's, my esteemed colleague's performance. He sort of doesn't understand why this interrogation is happening. But I always thought that was a clue about Robert. It's Pinter telling you that Robert, this boy baby, cries, and he cries painfully and deeply. But when across the course of a performance do you show that stuff? So yeah, that was over the 17 weeks in New York. The pleasure of it was that there are these, the music of Pinter's play is so precisely delineated and so carefully mapped, and to play it from the beginning to the end every night was a pleasure. It was never the same, and the audiences themselves would bring their own experiences in. Every individual and every audience brings in a life experience which they are carrying with them into their perception of the play. And then there's an alchemy which happens between all those individual members of the audience to create a character of the audience that we can feel across the footlights. We can feel what the energy is, and that's a thing that is unique to being in a theatre, to the live
performance, and also the kind of unpredictability of that, isn't it? I mean, that's what's so amazing, as you say, like the kind of depths of what you all achieved, but also we also had a lot of fun, and also, as we said earlier, like
that was great.
Harold himself saying that the plays are all kind of comedies, that they're all very, very funny, witty plays, and sometimes things can go a little bit awry as well. Right? Sometimes things can go a bit wrong.
Yes. Well, of course,
was there anything that kind of was? I mean, I know that there were. I read them in the show reports. I don't know if everyone knows that. The end of every performance, our brilliant stage managers always write down, what went on, so that directors, and producers, and all the rest of it, and the rest of the creative team can kind of see what happened. And there were definitely some things that were quite interesting. Do you have any particular?
Oh, endless. I mean, endless. That for me is the thrill of the live event, of the theatre, is that I still get the thrill of it as an actor and as an audience member myself, which is this is happening right now. It's not happening before, it's happening in front of me. I can see it, I can hear it, There's an atmosphere in this room. I can sense it in some way, and it's so thrilling. It's thrilling to feel it. I think audiences respond in different ways, and of course things go wrong on film and television all the time. And I'm so lucky that I've been able to do that as well. And occasionally you get a blooper reel. But when things go wrong in the theatre, everybody's there to witness it, and there's a kind of magic about that moment because it reminds you that it's live. It reminds you that real life is spontaneous, and that spontaneity is really the source of so much. God, I mean, I suppose the things that the constant challenge for me was just with this melon in the seventh scene, which I think Eddie mentioned. I mean, so many things about that scene can go wrong. Already the stakes are extremely high. Robert and Jerry have agreed to meet up for lunch. The question in the audience's mind is, will Robert confront Jerry with the confession that he knows about the affair between, and these two old friends are meeting for a civilized lunch in an Italian restaurant. And there's something in Robert's suppression of his pain and anger and fury, which gets displaced into, firstly, the waiter, the great Eddie Arnold, but then the food that they're eating and the wine that they're drinking. And so I don't know how this came about in rehearsals, but something, because in the text, of course, Robert's anger is displaced into a tirade about the demise of modern prose literature, and how there's two men of books and letters. Jerry's a literary agent, Robert's a publisher, but modern prose literature isn't what it used to be, and it's certainly no comparison to the great poets, W.B. Yeats in particular. And at the same time, they're eating these starters, I suppose, slices of Meloni, or prosciutto and Meloni in Robert's case, and drinking excessive bottles of Corvo Bianco, which you have to make sure as an actor you've got drunk, so that by the time you ask for more, you've drunk it. So it is a technical challenge, but this melon, I would occasionally, the sort of Robert's aggression would be taken out on this piece of melon, and depending on the ripeness of the melon on a particular day, it was a very slippery scene partner. At one point, I think Eddie mentioned it went in a sort of perfect mathematical arc into my wine glass. Yeah. At one point, it went into the audience, which I think was a bit of a surprise for the front row.
So, like, someone got
but
it
there was one occasion. Yeah, someone sort of landed, piece of melon lands in the lap, It's like extra dimension to the performance.
I'd sell it on eBay, quite frankly. I'd be making some money out of that.
There you go. But there was one where I was in the middle of this rant about modern prose literature, and the melon slipped off I stabbed it with the knife, and it slipped off the fork, and it went onto the floor, and instinctively I just pushed my chair back and bent over and picked it up and ate it. And I heard this extraordinary gasp from 1,100 people, 1,200 people, over 1,000 people. Get a sort of like, ooh, and the noise of 1,000 people gasping is significant. And then I looked into the eyes of my esteemed colleague Charlie Cox, which were very twinkly, because he sort of couldn't believe, A, that this piece of melon had slid onto the floor, B, that I had picked it up and eaten it straight away, and that it had got this reaction from the audience. And then it looked like we might both lose contact with the play and lose contact with the scene, because I love Charlie so much, and we've experienced so much together, but he's one of the few actors in the world who, if he starts to laugh, he's got the malicious laugh, and I could see laughter rising in him. I thought, oh no, I'm not going to be able to finish the scene. And there was a pause, and then the audience clocked that exchange between us, and they laughed. And then I think Charlie turned to them and pointed at me, and they laughed again. And I turned back and had to look down to compose myself. and I can't remember how it was broken. We both took a sip of wine at the same time, and then there was a spontaneous round of applause. But I think, you know, apart from just, you know, something going wrong, I think the applause was nothing to do with us, really. It was the audience's delight that they were watching something which was live and real.
Yeah.
They were witness to it, and they were included in this magical moment, which didn't happen the night before and wasn't going to happen the next night. And I feel that that's the best thing about live theatre. And there's so many other things. Once we broke a wine glass accidentally, and we had to get Eddie back on to bring another glass on. Or people would repeat the same lines.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, but it's amazing, as you say. That's what makes it so unique. It's, you know, so special and unforgettable, isn't it? You just literally don't forget those moments as an audience member. And I'm all for that. You know, like it's all all those things that happen. You know, that's all. It's all good. That's all part of the fun of it.
And I think I had a friend in that night actually, who came back, and he said the pleasure of that moment was so pure, as distinct from anything else. You don't. Of course, you go to the movies, or you watch things on television or on streaming, and things make you laugh. But if you go to the theatre and you're part of that moment, that's a uniquely theatrical thing. It happens because it's live, and it's very special. It's very special for everybody, I think. Yeah,
very special. The talking about very special. What I've got to say, I mean, like, here we are. You're nominated for a Tony. You made your Broadway debut. I mean, what does that mean?
I mean,
what does that mean to you?
I still can't quite believe it. And I just want to thank everybody who, you know, has made this possible. And I'm so honored to be nominated for a Tony. I sort of can't, it doesn't feel quite real. It never does. Because I started acting when I was a teenager in school plays, and the idea that one day I'd be nominated for a Tony Award, which is just sort of, you know, the gap from there to there, the gap from A to B is so, it feels like trying to long jump across the Pacific Ocean. And I'm very, very honored to be nominated. I'm in extraordinary company. My fellow nominees, all amazing actors. And congratulations to you too, Jamie.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very
nominee.
I'm very honoured, and for the entire team. And what I love about, you know, the kind of Best Revival nomination is that literally is for everybody. And, like, you know, I include all of our friends in London, as well as, you know, all the people that work so amazingly hard to make it happen in New York as well. But being a part of that Broadway community was just incredibly special.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It is. The idea of Broadway when we started Betrayal was, we didn't even think about it, and that's where we ended up, you know, at the Jacobs Theatre on 45th Street, from August to December in 2019. There is something absolutely magical about the energy of those people on that island, in that city, on that street, you know, those streets leading off Times Square, 45th Street, you know, the Jacobs, we shared dressing rooms with the Majestic and the Golden. And I remember I had a dressing room on the first floor. So every single performance I'd be getting ready and putting on Robert's things. And I would have my windows open, and I would always hear the guys outside front of house at the Imperial for Ain't Too Proud. And I would say, we always hear him calling out, ain't too proud, come on, come walk this way, ain't too proud. And that feeling of being part of a community and a tradition of acting and performing, which is respected across the world. And it is really unique. And when other plays open, on Broadway, the companies of every other Broadway show send these signed good luck messages to the company who are opening, and we received that. And there's a very unique energy which I found very touching and poignant to reflect on in this period of lockdown, because it's all about our social contact. It's all about making connections. And the difficulty for everybody in this last year has been that to keep each other safe, we've had to break those connections in some way. We try to keep them going remotely, but to be in crowds, to be in audiences, to be in the same building, connecting over the same thing, laughing at the same line, being moved by the same thing. And it's very touching to think of, and especially all those people, and it's worth mentioning almost all of them who made it possible. And the people who often aren't, who dedicate their so many hours every day, which add up to weeks and months and years and decades of service to this extraordinary art form. People like Frank Lombardi, our stage manager, and Diane, our producers, Wendy, Orshan, and Jeff Wilson, Bruce Klinger, our company manager, Ianth, who greeted us every evening, Danny Paul, our dresser, who makes sure all our clothes were clean and pressed, and or made sure our props, Freddie made sure the props were all ready. Mike and Matt and our New York producers, Ben Lowy and Tony Marion, and many, many more that I couldn't possibly list.
And Adam Spears and Emily.
Gareth, Adam Spears, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so many people behind the scenes who make this possible day in, day out, who make sure there's just enough, orange coloured sort of, what would it be? Sort of hazel coloured liquid that looks like whiskey in the glass every night. Or make sure you're not going to walk on stage. Yeah, not going to walk on stage without your wedding ring. Because it's a play about the dissolution of a marriage, and God forbid you walk on stage without the wedding ring. And Rick and Michael and Kendall, who are so much a part of the experience at DKC O&M, and the Schuberts and Bob Wankel, the Schuberts who own that theatre and who allowed us in at such short notice. And I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anybody.
I mean, literally, we will have missed somebody, and apologies, but the real
Matt
gratitude.
And Mike and Dylan and Jess Mill. I know. I
amazing.
Think, you mentioned Jess Mill before, but Dylan and Jess Mill, who came in to be our understudies and join in with Big Booty every night. They really didn't have to do. It was very sporting of them. And people, it's an extraordinary thing every night as well. I have a funny memory about walking out of the stage door every evening onto 45th Street, and in some of the most clement and balmy weather that New York can offer in the fall, in September and October, in shirt sleeves and greeting people who wanted playbills signed, which is such a Broadway tradition, and also you get to know. This is what's amazing about Broadway, is you get to know the mounted police who are there just to make sure everybody's safe. And they're so much a part of the fabric of the community. And because there are so many crowds of people, they just need to make sure people are safe. And they all want everybody who's there, from security to front of house to people who are working at the bar or selling drinks, or taking coats, or in any way helping this thing happen every night. They want people to come away from the experience with a warmth and a sense of meaning and purpose, that they were a part of something. And that takes such an extraordinary collection of human energy. And I feel very moved by that. I was very moved by it at the time. An English company coming over to New York, and we were so warmly welcomed. And I think there is, we just have to sort of pay our respect to it, because at this time I know Broadway's been through, the community's been through a very, very difficult period in the last year, and I think that human energy is vital to our society, and I can't wait to see it come back, and to be there myself and go and support other Broadway shows. So yeah, I feel very grateful to everybody, and it's lovely to remember it. God, we had a good time.
We had a great time with all of those people, both on the West End and on Broadway.
And it's a unique thing. It's a unique honor to join the lists of those actors who've performed on Broadway. It's a deep honor, and none of us take it for granted. I know that, because especially us as actors, you sign up as young people to do something for a living that we love. You never imagine that you're going to perform at the heart of New York's theatre and have access to everything that New York brings with it. I mean, New York is such a wonderful city, and I know you talked with Charlie about it, but being able to run down between a matinee performance and an evening performance to a squash court in Midtown and then run back in time to have a bite to eat and do the evening performance, or go for a walk in Central Park and then come in, have an idea about the play, or be reflecting on what happened last night. And if there's a parade and the traffic gets shut down in the city, and you walk down the street and you feel like Manhattan has become pedestrianized because there is no traffic because it's on parade, and it was an amazing thing, and I feel we were so lucky, just so lucky and fortunate to do it, to be invited to be there. And we had extraordinary houses, we had amazing audiences, full audiences. I'm aware of how fortunate that is, to have full houses who want to come and see this English play about three people who love each other and hurt each other, and it goes backwards in time. and there's a bit with a bitter melon.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And when you say
how
crowds,
do you feel that, Jamie? Crowds. We're all desperate to get back to life in that way.
I mean, I just think of all the freelancers here in London and all those people in New York. I just think, and everybody. I mean, the whole world. Obviously, there's been so much suffering, and I just hope that we can move through this now, and get back into those crowds and get back into those,
Yeah.
Just have those experiences again.
Yeah,
I'm sure we will.
I know you agree with me, but I think there's something very moving about being part of a large group of people, and knowing, I'm sure everybody who works or has been to a theatre, or everybody watching this art conversation, everybody joining in, we've all been somewhere in our lives where we felt part of a group of people experiencing something that feels bigger than the individual, and it's actually being part of that crowd that has a kind of transcendent quality, and to feel a part of something that's bigger than you. It's very important for human beings. I think very important for all of us. You just want to kind of get lost in the crowd and be part of something. So yeah, I can't wait for a time when we've somehow we've found a way to live with this situation we're living with, and those crowds can come back and Broadway can re-emerge.
Yes, exactly.
Resplendent and triumphant. Yeah. But we had so much fun. I'm aware. I don't know how many people are watching now. Is it about 5,000 people? I probably talk for too long. People have got bored. But I'm aware that. I'm aware that. Just grateful to you guys for tuning in and listening to our reminiscences. I think, Jamie, didn't you decide to do this today or this week because it's the 2-year anniversary of starting rehearsals? Is that right?
That's right. Yes, I think we would have been in. I think we would have been still in the rehearsal room 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, kind of crazy to think about it. It's like it's like Eddie said, it's almost like a dream. And then exactly a year ago, we were in rehearsals in the same rehearsal studio for the Seagull, which we managed to do 5 performances of before lockdown. And I'm hoping that we can bring that back with Amelia Clark and Indira and amazing company of actors. So hopefully that will come back too, and hopefully we can take Cyrano to BAM too. So there's lots of stuff that we're planning. Lots of, as I can see, all sorts of people here that were with us tonight. You know, Lindsay, our great stage manager in the West End, and Danny, our amazing security guard. So great to see, and Evie, our great producer from London.
Oh, everybody's watching. That's sweet.
Jersey. Yeah, so cool. And look, we've got to, I think we should go now, and we should just, as I say, thank you so much.
Well, Jamie, I just want to. Yeah, you go. You say we.
No, go on.
Well, I just want to thank you, honestly, because you had the vision to put this whole thing together and see it through, and you know, you asked me and Zoe to do the gala reading and put the gala on and create this experience, which has been meaningful for everyone at lots of different levels. And amazing. I know for all of us in the company, we'll never forget it. And you made this happen. You made this possible. And it's very, I'll just never forget it. It's a hugely meaningful memory for me, the whole year of my life. And I really want to thank you for that, for your kindness and care and clarity and trust. And you trusted us so much, trusted me and Zoe and Charlie and Eddie too. So yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you. It's a real privilege to know you. It's a real honor to call you a friend. I think you're a remarkable human being, an incredible actor. You know, I think, you know, I've read somewhere that someone said this performance places you up there amongst the greats, and I really truly believe that, Tommy. I can't wait to work with you in the future. I genuinely mean it. He's an amazing man, and you're all incredible people. So brilliant, everybody, to share this with you. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much to the team, everybody at JLC, everybody on the team there, and everybody at ATG, Adam Spears, and everybody for supporting us.
Yes, again, thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam, so much.
All of the team in London and New York. Anyone that we haven't mentioned, again, huge thank you. It's amazing. It's like cause and effect, isn't it? Like everybody plays a role. It's like everybody's such. You know,
this is a team game.
Yeah, 100%.
4 people on stage, or 5 if you include Emma and Phoenix, who played Charlotte. But
amazing young actors. We could keep going all night, Tommy, and I would love to talk to you all night if I could, T-Hits. But really lovely to catch up, and I hope to see you in person soon. And we can say goodbye. We can say goodbye to everybody now, and thank you to Arthur, who runs the JLC.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, Arthur.
Yes, thank you for keeping us. Everybody behind the scenes today. And also, as I say, perhaps let's do this again. Maybe we'll do some more JLC Instagram lives or something if that's interesting. But who knows?
JLC is Jamie Lloyd Company, yes?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, because you said JLC a lot, and I was like, JLC, was it? What
you just wanted the clarity. Yeah. This is weird. I have to say my name.
No, well, I can say it. JLC is the Jamie Company, the company at the forefront of British, I should say, international theatre. The programming, the glamour, the mystery, the progressive,
the culture,
the culture. Absolutely,
it's a big,
at the vanguard.
It's a big team of people that are making it happen.
But look at what you've done, Jamie. You've done so much in the theatre in the last 5 years, the last 10 years. But look at where you've given so many people so many opportunities, and I think you've changed the way theatre is made. So my hat goes off to you.
Thank you, Tommy. That means a lot. As I say, there's so many people that are doing that with us, and it's privileged to work with them every day. So I can't wait to get back and creating more theatre for everybody.
All right, I'll sign off. All the best to everybody. Stay safe, take care, and see you soon.
We'll see you soon, everybody. Thank you so much. See you very soon.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
Now we're gonna leave.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
Good night.